Subaru is kicking a bit of butt these days. The automaker is experiencing record sales, and it's because they're putting good vehicles in their lineup. Case in point is this one right here. This is the second generation of Subaru's popular Crosstrek compact crossover SUV, and it's better than the one it replaces. How so? I'm gonna tell you. This is the second vehicle to be built upon Subaru's new global platform, which will underpin all of their cars. And it allows them to create great suspension points on the chassis while still building the bodies they want to build. This is a sharp looking refresh of the design of the Crosstrek. Like the lower fog lights on the limited trim, you can get LED headlights and LED daytime running lights. The black against the blue looks really nice. Some black and chrome, shiny looking wheels, not chrome, but finished metal. And then come back, you have proper roof rails up here. Despite having a bit of ground clearance, there's actually a low step-in height, which is nice for maybe less mobile customers. And then coming around to the back, you have traditional crossover rear, but Subaru does a cool job of matching their headlights and taillights. And if you look closely at them, especially the daytime running lights, it resembles almost a boxer engine. Fancy that. Lift the hood on the Crosstrek and you will find 2 liters of flat 4 Fury. Not really, it is a flat 4, it is 2 liters, but it makes 152 horsepower and 145 pound-feet of torque. And that is not a lot in a vehicle over 3,000 pounds. One thing I do like, however, is that it gets solid fuel economy, and the Crosstrek comes standard with a 6-speed manual gearbox. Now, the other transmission, and the one you will find in most of them, is a CVT. Subaru does all right with the CVTs. It's their Lineartronic setup, and depending on which model you get, you're going to get one of 2 all-wheel drive systems, but both of them come standard with Subaru's symmetrical all-wheel drive. Across the Crosstrek lineup, Subaru gave the vehicles more space inside, and that is always a good thing without sacrificing and making it look way fatter and bigger on the outside. Now, starting at the base model, you do get cool features like Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is great because then you don't have to worry about having a navigation system because your phone has nav. Step all the way up to the Limited. It goes base, premium, and Limited. And the Limited, you get this nice big screen. The display itself looks great. It responds quickly to inputs. The gauges themselves across the lineup are great. I really like the shape of this steering wheel and the size. It's not too big. The diameter feels good, and it's got paddles up here to shift the faux ratios of the CVT. It's a 7-speed stepped pseudo-fake manual. Now the seats all the way up are really nice too. These are very comfortable seats. On the limited trim, you can get this cool cross-stitch orange color. It's an option. It just lets you know that it's fancy luxury-like, because luxury vehicles have to have cross-stitching. You can see it continued here. It looks nice, and this is a nice place to sit if you have to sit for long periods of time. Road trip this vehicle, not a problem for front seat passengers or those in the back. In most aspects out on the road, the Subaru Crosstrek is great. When you're just cruising around town, it's fine. You don't worry about the power deficit. The steering feel is good. They reduced the steering ratio, but the weight of it feels proper and good. There's no movement from the suspension, and the brakes are sharp and responsive. The problem goes when you start to leave the stoplight like this. Watch, put my foot down. I don't need it. I would need a sundial at this point. The Crosstrek is slow, but it starts to shine when you get away from the pavement and you let the tires and suspension do their thing. There's 8.7 inches of ground clearance. There's the aforementioned Subaru symmetrical all-wheel drive system. Now, I mentioned there's 2 different versions. So in the 6-speed manual, there's a viscously coupled center differential, a mechanical one that can split torque 50-50 front and rear. With the CVT, it's an electronic unit that distributes torque as needed, and it's a system that was developed on the WRX and WRX STI, so it is a properly sorted all-wheel drive system. Now, another bonus that the CVT gets is something called X mode, not designed by DMX as much as I like to pretend it is, but it is a sort of hill descent system that keeps this thing in shape as it's going down a hill. You can take your foot off the gas, off the brake, and focus on steering. Very cool off-road feature that is in far more adventurous off-road machines. So you can take this and get it dirty, but that is only on the CVT version. With the manual, you have to do it yourself at every level. Now, you would think I would prefer the manual version of this car because I'm a bit of an enthusiast. I like sports cars. I like really enjoying the vehicle. It's weird, and I've driven both of them, but the CVT is the better Crosstrek. It just manages the power better. The whole idea of a CVT is to keep you in the power band. And when you don't have a lot of power to start with, a CVT starts to make a lot of sense. Now, if you get the manual, you've made a fun choice, you're getting a fun vehicle and you're gonna do active lifestyle things with it. However, if this is just your all-around standard vehicle, just commuting to and from work, and you're not going to get too adventurous with it, you probably should get the CVT. It is the better choice for the Crosstrek, and it pains me to say it, but it is true. Regardless of which gearbox you choose, you're probably going to see over 30 miles per gallon, probably in combined driving too, because this thing is so not thirsty, because it has so much not power. But that aside, I love every other aspect of this vehicle, even the price. The base one starts just over 20, and if you fully option one out, if you can find a way to push this over 30, you've put too much stuff on it. And there's one behind us. I see these things everywhere. These things are selling well, Subaru is selling them for good reason, but there is some great competition out there as well. One of my vehicles that my wife and I own is a Mazda CX-5, and I see that the CX-3 and the CX-5, because this is kind of in between the two, or at least it feels that way, I see this as proper competition to those, because Subaru buyers and Mazda buyers know what they want out of a vehicle. With the Mazda, it's very engaged, enthusiastic handling. With the Subaru, it's the ability to power through the worst weather and go anywhere and really dive into the whole Subaru lifestyle. Love is love, love is a Subaru. And it's great marketing and it really works, and everyone driving these vehicles, minus the STI, because that's the vape cloud crowd, everybody else is happy, has their dog in the back, and is probably going hiking or surfing or something. Now, like I said, there are other vehicles out there. A great example of someone else coming into this space with a new model is Hyundai with the Kona. Same idea to me as the Crosstrek, but that's more of like the urban compact crossover fighter, whereas the Subaru is those who live away from the big city. Now, you can drive both in either place, but the Subaru will actually get you places off-road, and the Kona is just sharp, stylish, in-your-face around town. Both have good features, though the Kona might be a little bit more feature-rich because Hyundai's good about doing that stuff. Both are going to be priced about the same. You're going to see solid fuel economy. So if you had to choose between one, say you were like, hey, Jeff, I either want a Kona or I want a Crosstrek. Are you an active person? Are you going on trips? Are you hiking, going to Yosemite for the weekend? No question, get the Crosstrek. Or if you live in New England and want proper all-wheel drive, this is the one to get. If the answer to those questions was no, look at the Kona if you want the newest tech. Now, like I said, the Limited has a really nice screen here. You can get this with a Harman Kardon sound system, which is really top-notch for the segment. Subaru is offering this in some fun colors. There's a bright hyper blue version. They do the orange. There's fun colors out there, just like Hyundai is doing with its Kona. They have that bright lime green that's in your face. And if you want to learn more about the Hyundai Kona, you should watch the video we shot on that one. If you can get past the power deficit, the Crosstrek is truly a wonderful compact crossover, and it looks really good with this blue paint and the black trim.